M1 MacBook Air, M3 MacBook Pro, let's talk about it. Hey, what's up guys, it's TechSumer talking to you here. And in today's video I want to compare the M1 MacBook Air against the M3 MacBook Pro. Which computer is the better value? Should you buy the newest and shiniest M3 MacBook Pro, or should you simply spend the least amount of money possible and buy the M1 MacBook Air? So if you want to know more about the M1 MacBook Air, I have a full review on my channel, go check it out. In my opinion, it's the best value Mac in 2023, but still, which computer should you go for? What are all of the differences between these two computers? The screens, displays, specs, everything will be talked about in this video. So, no further ado, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, roll the intro. So, these computers are the two most likely computers for you to buy. The M1 MacBook Air because it's the cheapest MacBook currently available with the Apple Silicon. And the M3 MacBook Pro because it's the cheapest MacBook Pro available. So, right now, you have the two cheapest Macs, the MacBook Air, the M1, and the M3 MacBook Pro. So, the cheapest MacBook Air against the cheapest MacBook Pro. Which one should you choose? Well, simple. If you just want the better value of those two, again, like I told you, is the M1 MacBook Air. I do believe that the M1 MacBook Air at $700 that you can find it refurbished or even used, it's a stupidly good deal. This computer has everything. Performance, design, ports, keyboards, trackpad. Everything about this computer feels premium, super up-to-date, and it has the Apple Silicon M1 chip. This chip, super high performance and as well very efficient, so the battery life here on this computer will be better like by 90% of all computers out there. So this in my opinion is the best value laptop in 2023. But the M3 MacBook Pro is no slouch. The M3 MacBook Pro has the newest MacBook Pro design, the mini LED screen, 120 Hz, more I/O. It still has the better keyboard in my opinion, although the M1 MacBook Air keyboard is also really good. This one has a bit better, more comfortable, more travel, and of course has a bigger trackpad. So yeah, all of this in a not that much bigger form factor, the 14-inch form factor. Yes, it's thicker, while the M1 MacBook Air is way thinner. This computer, although, has better battery life. So, which of these computers should you choose? It's not that easy. Because again, in terms of design, these computers are different, very different. The M1 MacBook Air has a wedged approach, the old MacBook design. This design is thicker at one end and way thinner at the other. This computer only has two USB-C ports. These computer speakers are much worse. So, in terms of overall hardware and design, the MacBook Air loses. But again, costs you half the money. If you put it on a scale, I do believe that the MacBook Air is a better value still, because the MacBook Air gives you like 80% of the MacBook Pro hardware and, oh my god, half the price, which is just insane. The price of the M1 MacBook Air is crazy. And so I do believe that most students, everyday people that want to buy a computer, the M1 MacBook Air laptop is simply the best. It will have more than enough power, it will have incredible battery life, very portable computer, and very easy to use with an amazing screen. So, in terms of overall design, I do believe that for most people, the design of the MacBook Air is more practical, easier to carry around, less heavy, and less bulky. While the 14-inch MacBook Pro is the perfect Pro computer for those that want to use a very powerful laptop on a very thin and light form factor. Because yes, the MacBook Pro 14-inch, the M3 MacBook Pro 14-inch, is much more powerful than the M1 MacBook Air. There's no denying it. Although it's not as powerful as the M3 Pro, which I also will talk about a bit later, the M3, the base model M3 MacBook Pro, is extremely powerful when compared to the M1 MacBook Air, and in terms of size, it's not that much bigger. Although, I do believe that the 14-inch is big enough that most people will think it's too thick, and when compared to the M1 MacBook Air, they will be delighted with the thinness of this computer. But if you do value performance, if you do value like video editing, photo editing, 3D rendering, some of it, then the 14-inch design is much better. And of course, if you want a big laptop, you have the option to go for the 15-inch MacBook Air with the M2 chip and the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M3 Max or M3 Pro chip. These computers are different, and I think I need to make a separate video to compare these two. If you want to see that, drop a like down below, and of course, tell me in the comments down below if you do. But again, going back for the M1 MacBook Air, and of course M3 MacBook Pro, and later the M3 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch. The M3 MacBook Pro's hardware in general is also better again. The keyboard is better, has more travel, and is about the same size of the M1 MacBook Air. So, in about the same size keyboard, you have more travel and it's more comfortable. The trackpad is also much bigger than the M1 Air, while the differences between these two computers are not that big when you compare to a proportion of the size of the trackpad, because the M3 MacBook Pro has a 14-inch form factor with thinner bezels. So it's about the same form factor as the 13-inch MacBook Air, but it's a bit thicker. And you have a much bigger trackpad, which for some people, it's good. For others, they don't really care. The M1 MacBook Air also has a huge trackpad and better than 99% of other Windows laptops. So if you are an average consumer, that's what I keep going back to, is that if you have an average consumer needs, then the M1 is just fine. And the M1 is truly powerful and efficient and really easy to carry around, really super portable, super powerful machine. If you prefer to have a newer design, then there's the M2, which I would say like, wait, because we have rumors that the M3 MacBook Air will come out in March event. So if you want to buy a new MacBook Air currently on Apple's website, I would say wait until March to see what happens. Apple will probably release the M3 MacBook Air, kill the M1 MacBook Air, and bring down the price of the M2 MacBook Air. In that case, then the M2 MacBook Air actually replaces the M1 MacBook Air in this video, and it becomes the best value machine, in my opinion, for new machines, for old machines or refurbished machines. Then the M1 MacBook Air is still insane. You can go to eBay and find this on a discount. Insane. The prices here are just crazy. But if you go to buy new, then there's a case for you to buy the M3 MacBook Pro, especially the M3 Pro. For only $400 more, you can get the M3 Pro version of the 14-inch machine. The 14-inch machine is a very versatile form factor. Super easy to carry around, super portable. All of the things are really good, keyboard, trackpad, but especially the speakers are much better than the M1 Air. And if you just value this, the overall design, if you value the speakers, a very good display, because again, I haven't talked about the displays. The display on the 14-inch machine is a 14-inch display. The display on the M1 Air is a 13-inch display, but they are about the same size, just because of the bezels of the M1 Air are much thicker and it doesn't have a notch, while the 14-inch machine has much thinner bezels and actually has a notch. So if you don't like the notch, then the M1 Air is the only one that doesn't have it. But I do believe that the notch is just fine. You will forget about it in 1 week or so. So I do believe that the 14-inch Pro display is truly the best in the business. Mini LED, 120 Hz, that will make a huge difference. The colors pop much more. The blacks are much better. The contrast ratio is much better. So overall, the M1 MacBook Air has a good display. But if you do want the best display available, if you want the closest display to an OLED display on your computer, then I do believe the base model M3 MacBook Air is the way to go. But if you need more performance, then you have the M3 Pro base model. Yes, base model. Do not spend more than that, because if you are watching this video, you probably want to know for the base model machines, the best value machines, and not that much about the performance. So this will be very quick, but if you want the best performance available for the cheapest amount of money possible, then I do believe the M3 Pro or even the M2 Pro base model are the best options. The M2 Pro refurbished is an amazing machine, the same chassis, the same hardware as the M3 Pro, but with the M2 Pro chip. You can find it for refurbished $1,600, $1,500, the price of the M3 MacBook Pro. The only thing you are missing out is ray tracing on the GPU. Other than that, the CPU is like 10% of a difference. So if you want to spend less money and have almost all the performance of the M3 Pro together with all of the I/O, then the M2 Pro is the option. Because the M3 Pro has better I/O even than the M3. The M3 has only 2 USB-C ports, 1 HDMI port and 1 headphone jack and 1 SD card slot, while the M3 Pro has 1 more USB-C, Thunderbolt 4, while the M1 Air only has 2 USB-Cs, nothing more. The M1 Air doesn't have the MagSafe port, while the 14-inch M3 and M3 Pro does. And hear me out, I do believe this is more important than you actually think. The MagSafe port has saved my computer several times, and that's valuable, because if you trip on your wire and the wire pulls your computer to the ground and breaks it, that's $800 you are wasting. While if you have the MagSafe port, which has happened in like 3-4 times, it will save your computer. So it's a lifesaver, trust me. And again, the MagSafe port is available on the M2 MacBook Air. So yeah, I do believe if the price of the M2 MacBook Air was a bit lower, that would beat out the M1 Air in terms of value. But currently, at $700, $600 is just unbeatable. So you can see here on these 3 different categories, you have 3 different standards of I/O. The M1 Air is bare bones, just 2 USB-Cs. You can buy a USB hub later and just do all your things. But if you want more I/O, especially an HDMI port and an SD card slot, which are very valuable for me at least, then the M3 upwards is just a deal breaker, because I need my HDMI, especially my SD card slot. For me, a video editor, videographer, and a photographer, I really love the SD card slot, and I really need it. So for me, the M1 Air is out of the question. But for you, if you do want that, then obviously the M3 upwards, the 14-inch design is the only option. So now you have to decide between the M3 and the M3 Pro, and on that, you have to decide if you do really need the extra performance, 3D rendering, go for the M3 Pro. I know benchmarks don't mean much, but would it be a comparison video if I didn't show you some? So here they are, some Geekbench 6 results for the M1 Air and the M3 MacBook Pro. And obviously the M3 Pro also, because I want to give you the comparison between the M3 Pro machine, so the more expensive side of the MacBook Pros, and the cheaper side of the MacBook Pros and the MacBook Air. So here they are. If you do average video editing, average photo editing, then the M3 will be just fine. The M3 Pro, it's almost overkill for most people. The M3 Pro is for those professionals that don't do much of the GPU, just CPU side, and so like programmers, developers for apps, they don't really need actually the GPU, then the M3 Pro is for them. If you need more GPU, then you should go for the M3 Max. But for video editing, the M3 Pro will be just fine. The M3 Pro also has better encoders, better H.265, better H.264, ProRes encoders, so it will be much faster while exporting videos on Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, programs that actually take advantage out of this. So at the end of the day, M1 Air, M3 Pro, M3. These devices are super competitive on the market. The M1 Air is the cheapest and best value computer. The M3 MacBook Pro is the cheapest 14-inch MacBook Pro. And the M3 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch is the better value performance computer. So at the end of the day, you gotta decide which one out of these computers should I buy. And then you have to decide, do I want to buy a new computer or a used computer? If you are comfortable buying a refurbished computer or a used computer, then oh my god, you can find M1 Pro MacBook Pros, M1 Max's MacBook Pros in an insane value, cheaper than the M3 MacBook Pro, and those are very powerful machines. If you want to buy a super inexpensive computer, then the M1 Air on eBay is super cheap. So yeah, most of these choices are good if you are going to buy new from Apple with a warranty, but if you are willing to spend a second-hand market or buy refurbished, then there are better options. At the end of the day, and to answer the big question of today's video, M1 Air against the M3 MacBook Pro, which one of these computers is the best value? Which one of these computers is the best computer for you? Well, it depends. If you value portability, if you value budget, if you value the size and thickness, then the M1 Air is for you. If you value the display, if you value the hardware, if you value the speakers, the capability of the speakers, if you value the I/O, if you value software support, then of course the M3 MacBook Pro is the option for you. And then of course look upwards if you need it, only for the M3 Pro and M3 Max if you do really need it. Don't waste your money buying computers that you don't actually use, that 5-6 years later it will sell because you are bored out of it. So let me know in the comments below, which of these computers would you buy? The M1 Air, the M3 MacBook Pro, or even just go for the M2 MacBook Air. If you want a comparison between the M1 Air and the M2 Air, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, bye bye.